Hello, and welcome to Gary's Urban Larder. I'm Gary Rice. Today, I'm going to make an apple cobbler for you. Now, a lot of people have different ideas on what a cobbler actually is. Some think it's stewed fruit topped with a biscuit-like crust. Others think it's more like a crumble. And yet more think it has a top and bottom crust with little dumplings inside with the fruit. And that's what I'm going to make for you today. So get ready. Remember, everything will be in the description box. So let's have some fun and make my apple cobbler. So the first thing we're going to do is, with chilled flour, I'm going to add a pinch of salt, actually a little bit more, 2 pinches of salt, and I'm going to add chilled cube butter to this bowl. And it looks like quite a bit of butter, but we're going to need it. And we're just going to rub that together because we're going to make our pastry, our dough. So just squeezing that just through my fingers. And you want to be very careful because you've got everything cool and you want it to stay cold. That's the trick with pastry, making a good pastry. So we're rubbing this together. This flour, you saw me add a pinch of salt. I also have 2 tablespoons of sugar in here. That helps the pastry have a little bit of sweetness, but also get some coloring. So as I said, you don't want to handle this too much. You just want to rub that together until it looks a bit like a course meal. You can see that. So everything's nicely chilled. So we get this to come together in a moment. I'm going to add some iced water. I'm going to do that a little bit at a time. So just rubbing that together. And if you want to use store-bought pastry, you can. But I think actually, give it a go. Give it a try and see how you get on with making your own pastry. And some of you will be good at it, some of you won't. But don't give up. Nothing beats a failure but a try. And that's something my mother has always taught me. So you can see I've rubbed that butter in, and they're going to be fairly uniform sizes. That's why we cubed it to begin with. And good and chilled. And there it is. You've got that butter incorporated. And the idea behind it is the dough, the flour shapes around every bit of the fat. And when that fat melts away in a hot oven, that adds gives the flakiness. So that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to get that distributed well so that we end up with a really flaky, delicious pastry. Okay, I've got some ice water here. So I'm just going to add that bit by bit. Until that comes together to form our dough. And again, the idea is to do this fairly quickly. You want everything to stay chilled. But we don't want to get too much liquid in. Just enough so it holds together. It's coming together nicely. Okay. More water. I'll set that aside. And I'm going to move a few things because I'm going to need this a little bit. Again, we don't want to overwork it. You see that starting to hold together. And maybe just a tad bit more water. And again, the instructions will be in the description box. And feel free to share this video with your friends. Remember to give us a thumbs up if you enjoy it. And also, you can ring the notification bell so you won't miss any future recipes. And please subscribe to the channel. It really helps us out. I'm just turning that out so you can see how that's come together. And what we're going to do, I'm going to get that in a mass. So I'm going to let it rest for about 15 minutes in the refrigerator, covered, while I peel and chop, well, slice the apples. So there, you see how easily that has come together. You can also see the bits of fat of butter in it. And that's just going to go back in that bowl. And I'm going to cover it with some cling film and put it in the fridge while we do the apples. Join us in a second. All right, we've got the pastry chilling and resting in the refrigerator. And now what I'm going to do is to peel and chop up my apples. And we're not going to stew these, but we're going to put them in, cut up, into our pastry, into the bottom crust, along with all of our spices. Now, I don't know if I went over the spicing that we're going to use. I've got some brown sugar, a bit of granulated sugar, cornstarch, cinnamon, ginger, and salt. We're also going to add some lemon zest and juice to our fruit. And we do that, the lemon basically adds flavor, but also the bit of acid keeps the apple from turning brown. And it really doesn't affect the flavor if the apple browns, but it's just appearance. So if you don't mind some brown apples, then you don't have to worry about the lemon juice. I'll just show you how easy it is to chop these. I'm just going to slice that in half, and I'm just going to take my knife and remove the stem and the bottom of the core. That one almost got away from me. And there are two ways you can do this. So either you can take it and have it again, and then you see the core there. You just come down with your knife and just remove it. And the same here. You just remove it. And then you can just slice those up. You don't have to have any uniformity on these, but we want them roughly the same size. So the other way is actually to take a spoon. I've got a small spoon here, and you take the rounded bit of that into your half, and you just follow around that core. And there you have cored apple, and you can do it in a different slice. Yeah? And it's really that simple. So okay, I'm going to finish peeling, coring, and chopping these. But before I do, I'm going to show you, I'm going to add some of this lemon. And the thing I want to do is to roll that lemon to release the oil. That smells amazing. And I'm just going to use my zester and just add that zest as much as you like. I tend to prefer it because it just gives such a great fragrance to your apple and to the pie, or should I say cobbler. And there. I think that's quite a bit of it. I'm just going to have that and I'm going to juice it. I'm just going to add that juice without the seeds onto those apples. And again, that acid prevents it from browning. So may need the other half, so I'll save that. So I'll get on and I'll finish peeling, coring, and chopping these apples. Join me in just a little bit. Okay, now we're going to add to our peeled, cored, and sliced apples our sugars, white sugar, some brown sugar. We've got cornstarch, quite a bit. It's about a tablespoon's worth per 500 grams of apple. So 1 tablespoon per pound of apple. And I've got some cinnamon, the ginger. I'm going to grate some nutmeg into that. About half a nut, but about half a teaspoon of ground nutmeg if you have it. Fresh is really best, I think, but if you don't want to be bothered with grating it, so you use half, then you can use ground. And about a half a teaspoon of salt. So we're just going to work that into our apples. We've got the lemon juice that we've used, and it will start to make a liquor from the sugar, and the salt helps draw out some of those juices, as well as round off the flavors. So here we have it. Our flavor profile is cinnamon, nutmeg, ginger, the sugars. The brown sugar gives it a bit more richness. The lemon juice and zest, and salt. So now we'll just let that sit right there. And I'm going to clean my hands. And to the clean worktop, I'm just going to dust it with a bit of flour. Also my hands. We've got our rested dough. And I'm just going to divide that in half. And so throw that into a disc. Trusty rolling pin. Flour, not too much flour. We don't want to make it tough. We don't want to work this too much. And I'm just going to get that in a square. And the flour just keeps it from sticking to the surface. One of the things you can do is to fold that over couple of times. And that will actually add flakiness. More flour. Oops. Keep that flat. And we're getting that to about 1/4 inch, which is what, about 1.5 centimeters in thickness. Keep turning it so it doesn't stick to the surface. One of the things to do when you're rolling out pastry is to bring it towards you and push it away from yourself. Yeah? And then you can turn it and do it the other way. So I'm pushing that out towards you. And I think we're nearly there. So I've got our dish waiting, and just going to fold that in quarters and lay that in the dish and press that into the corners. Careful not to poke a hole in it. And little bits, I'm just going to rub that away. See that? And just rub that out. And those are going to form our little dumplings. If you have a piece where it's not quite to the side, you can patch it just by pushing that in. Yeah? So we've got our bits of dumpling. That's going to go in the mix. And we want a hot oven to start. So I'm going to set the oven to very hot, preheat it. So about 450 degrees Fahrenheit, 220 Celsius. So to this, there's no need to prick the bottom, and we're not going to blind bake this because we're starting in a hot oven, and we're going to reduce it to a moderately hot oven because we want that bottom crust not to be too doughy. We don't want a soggy bottom, I think is the phrase. So just adding all of our, you see the liquor that's come out of that? All of our apples, our fruit, into the dish. Just remember, these are going to soften and reduce down. Put that out of the way. So we have that. And I'm just going to get some butter to add little knobs of butter to that. And yes. Just going to add little knobs of butter. Not a lot, but again, we want this to be really flavorful. So I'm just going to dot those around. Into that. And I'm just going to add the little bits of cast off dough in as well. Now, my mother, if I don't do this, she will say it's not a cobbler. So I'm just putting those in, and I'm going to my spoon and just push some of those down into the fruit. So they're little treats to be found when you enjoy it. And we're going to roll out the rest of our pastry for the top. It's the same thing, just lightly dust the surface, our hands, and we push this into a disc. Flour the rolling pin, and we start shaping the top crust. And I don't know if you can see it, but there are little bits of butter that are there. And those again will help create the striations, the flakiness. And I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to roll it, double on itself to add extra flakiness. Remember to turn it and push away from yourself and push towards yourself, or pull towards yourself, I suppose. Turn it. And do the same. You'll need a little bit more flour. Again, it's very light dusting. Too much flour will make your pastry tough. Too much handling will make it tough. Nearly there. And there we have a rough rectangle. And a little trick is to just roll it on the pen, and then you can add it to your top. Okay, so I have that. Now what we're going to do is crimp the edge. So it's a really simple thing. You can use your finger or your thumb, and your other, just crimp it. And folding that edge under, now it adds a little depth to it. Our oven is hot, but also make sure to seal in, and we don't have any excess. Seals in the crust. So we're just going to continue to crimp. So we crimp around our thumb, make that scallop. And once we get that nicely crimped, we're going to then cut some slits to vent the steam. That could look a little better. There. So using a knife, I'm just going to cut some slits for steam into the top of that. Also, I'm going to egg wash this. So I'm just going to get an egg, whole egg, and just beat that slightly. And I need a pastry brush. And take that egg, and I'm just going to brush the top of our pastry, not too heavily. This is going to give it a nice sheen and appearance. Once I get the egg wash on, I'm going to take some sugar, just white sugar, and I'm just going to sprinkle that over the top. Not a lot, just enough in adding some sweetness and a bit of crunch onto that pastry. So now this is going to go into our very hot oven for the first 10 to 15 minutes. Then we're going to reduce that to a moderate oven temperature. So it's in the oven, very hot oven, and we're going to reduce that after 15 minutes to a moderately hot oven. And then from then it's going to bake for another hour to 75 minutes. The oven has just finished, and it's time to take out the apple cobbler. Oh, it smells amazing. Oh my goodness. Looks a bit rustic, but that's okay. Look at that. Isn't that wonderful? Now, before we can serve it up, we want to let it sit. It'll continue to cook a little while and it'll cool down. Otherwise, it's really piping hot. It's too hot to eat and it's scalding. Now, I know some of you would dig in right away and then throw ice cream on it or cream or something to cool it down. But trust me, it is worth the wait. So we'll let this rest and we'll let it come close to room temperature. It'll still be warm, and then we'll serve it up. Welcome back. We let our apple cobbler cool, and it's now time to cut into it, serve it up. Oh, the pastry is nice and flaky. And look, I'm just going to put the fruit so you can see it. Look how sweet and rich the fruit is. See how flaky the crust has become. And there we have it. With even dumplings. Inside, we've got our cobbler. A top and bottom crust cobbler with dumplings. Excuse my messy dish, but it's going to taste incredible. So you can still see the steam coming off of it, but I'm going to give it a try. Oh. The fruit is soft. It's absolutely delicious. Spicing is right. I'll try some of our pastry. Pastry is buttery, flaky, tender. And there you have it. So I hope you enjoy the recipe. And if you like today's video, please leave a thumbs up. Remember to subscribe. It helps us with the channel. Share it with your friends and ring that notification bell so you won't miss a single delicious recipe. Thanks so much. See you next time.